Oh, whoops. Good morning, internet family. Short stream today, just letting you know. Manic Mondays, and I am very unprepared, so y'all can just whatever. Hope y'all had a good 4th of July week. But now it's time to get back on track. So, since I printed out last week, I'll go ahead and reutilize that, so that way I don't have to just keep rewriting the same shit. Thanks. I really need to stop cursing. Alright. That's gotta go in advertising. I gotta split some stuff up. So, today we're going to walk through the calendar for this next week and stuff, and we're going to keep pushing for this PDF to be done already. I want it to be done by the end of July and on the market. So, morning time, this entire schedule completely changed, so that way you know. But we are starting from 0, which is here. So, all right, so going into your morning time, granted, yes, it's 11 a.m., but your typical morning time is going to have your, wake-ups, morning routines, wardrobes, socials, seller sites, house chores, schedules. You have your unschooling, and then your personal electives, gym class, or if you want to call it class, gym, thrifting, meal prep or meal times, cleanups, and nightly routines and power downs. So that's your typical rundown for what your scheduling is. Now, however, you have to fit that in, or take stuff out or add your own stuff. For the most part, a lot of people cannot add a lot of this to theirs. But like I said, we're talking about entrepreneurship. So you're making your own schedule, you're making your own time, you're making your own money, right? So when you're planning out your whatever it is that you're wanting to do with your life, you have to break it down into pieces that are capable of being handled by you on a long-term basis. So when you're first going into it, yeah, it's going to be a little chaotic. A lot of stuff is going to stay the same throughout the entirety of your year. But for the majority of it, yes, it will alter, it will shift because of, certain circumstances, or, maybe the flow of money is kind of a little wonky or not at all. Or, maybe you have some personal health issues that may be in the way, or, whatever your deal is. So, so yeah, but this is what I'm working on currently. So for the unschooling part of it, someone asked me this the other day of like whether or not it was 18 plus. And this is a very controversial topic because each one of the social media sites require a certain type of listing for what the content is that you're putting out there. Now, in every single day, normal life, you have different classes and different things in each one of your schoolings, right? Whether it's you're going to a regular everyday school, like a public school, or if you're going to a private school, or even if you are homeschooling or using some kind of unschooling, that of which I'm doing. I do have a homeschool through the state of North Carolina. So Nevermore Academy is an actual homeschool. The question is, because of the topics that are within the homeschooling or unschooling or whatever you want to call it, what age range is it that I should put for this topic? And this was something that was brought up the other day during one of the streams of, okay, well, you previously had in your streams a lot of topics about sex. Well, yes, I did. But there are also sex education in school. So there's no difference on that part. Now, maybe the content was a little bit leaning towards 18 plus, but there is sex education in school. And that's something that I actually have been thinking about since you guys asked me about that. I'm actually going to add a section for sex education. I feel that we need to start looking at every single angle of ourselves, including, and since we are already introducing that information to the youth, that we should be able to talk about these topics. And since it's prevalent everywhere, literally everywhere, this is something that is a topic that should be talked about to a younger age because of the dangers that are out there today. Now, granted, yes, the aspect of the angle that I was at previously was a little bit leaning more towards, adult conversations. But I feel, and since it has been so heavy of a topic of, trafficking and underage pornography and all of these other aspects, I think that's one of those elephant in the room conversations that nobody ever wants to fucking talk about. And I think that that's something that we really need to talk about, because of the fact that children are so vulnerable to people doing things to them or convincing them of certain ways of life, right? From personal experience, I know that there is a lot of people out there that go through certain events that happen in their life that they may later come to realize that they probably should have learned about it sooner, and it probably would have saved them from a longer issue going down the road, okay? Because evil transfers through everyone, okay? It's whether or not we decide to allow that transfer to happen. One of the biggest mistakes that I ever made, and I actually just said this to my children this morning, was that one of the biggest things that I regret in my life is that I was not able to protect them more than I already did. And I feel like I did above and beyond for trying to understand where the protections laid, so this way these situations didn't happen to them. So a lot of times, and I am going to bring this up in the conversation this morning. A lot of times when you have a situation like this, it's closer to home than you realize. Okay? It could be a family member. It could be a sibling. It could be a cousin. It could be anybody that's within a close range of the youth. Okay? So yes, you do need to put into whatever kind of schooling that you have available the warning signs, as well as what your personal, normal, everyday life would be like. Now, a lot of the question lays is, how old do children have to be to start learning about sex? And is it right? Is there an ethical issue behind this? I know that there's a lot of religious belief behind it. I know there's a lot of political belief behind it. But at the baseline of it, I feel that we should at the very least give them warning signs at a younger age, so this way they can kind of see where it's coming from and have some stance to combat against it, Number one, cutting funding to local schools is going to accelerate this problem, okay? Also, with AI and everything, is going to accelerate this problem. It allows predators to be able to have access to your children a lot sooner than they ever did before, and without getting caught like they did before. So the access to the school is for some kids, that's the only safe place they have. Sometimes the teacher is their best bet for being able to communicate issues at home. So yes, I understand that homeschooling is really wonderful. Yes, I understand that regular schooling is really wonderful if, there's no bullies involved. But there are certain aspects, especially like with the cashless system also, that's something that shouldn't be taken out at all. Because I'll be honest with you, DV survivors rely on that cash to be able to escape certain situations. So do not go cashless. Do not get rid of all of the schools. Do not get rid of the opportunities for people to be able to reach out so this way they can get the help that they need. I mean, as of right now, especially in North Carolina or the United States in general or anywhere in the world, Mental health is not a priority, and it should be. Therapy should be a priority. There is so much human trafficking that's happening right now from different angles that we don't even realize every single day because we want to ignore it. We don't want to deal with it. We want this evil to go away. So we're going to just bloop it out of our mind, but the evil is still there. Okay? And you have to combat it every single day. In every aspect that you possibly can, right? Anybody who's ever been through a scenario like this is going to tell you it's wrong. It shouldn't have happened. Okay? I personally, like I've always told my kids, children and underage is a completely different category than an adult. Yes. When a child is curious, that's something that possibly through therapy and like other kinds of help can be worked with and forgiven in my mind. When it's an adult, yes, therapy is still required. Yes, there is a way to work with it. But do you forgive an adult for doing that? I'm asking you, do you forgive an adult for doing something against a child in a sexual manner? There's a lot of ethical and a lot of really high emotions in that question. My question to you is, what do we do with these scenarios when they come up? I mean, in a personal aspect, it's a nightmare. So, any kind of work towards protecting children is always going to be a priority. No matter what country you're from, no matter where you are in the world, the children of the world need to be protected at all times. And unfortunately, even though I personally have made my stand in this conversation, it seems to me like no one's listening. So what do you do when no one listens? What do you do when the predator has convinced the child or the other person, doesn't necessarily have to be a child, when the predator convinces the other person that this is how life is supposed to be? And then they start acting out that in life to other people. Now that person's the predator? That child's the predator? Think about it. How many times has something happened in your life that you never even knew about? People that you see every single day. I see warning signs all the time. I may or may not act on them, and maybe I should. But I see red flags all the time when I'm out and about in the world. I see red flags online all the time. I see patterns and stuff that are leaning towards another aspect of life that's getting ready to be really scary. At least for me. I absolutely despise the AI idea. I think that anything AI should have a limit to it. But it's AI. It doesn't have its own, it has its own firewall, built its own firewall, so you're not going to be able to stop it. And they know that. Predators know that, and they will use that in a way to get to your children a lot faster than you ever thought possible. From personal experience, I am begging of you, for those of you who are parents, please watch what your children are doing on the internet. From my own personal mistakes of not being a little bit more of that overbearing parent and being there more with them, listening to them more. You know, I was a bad parent too. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Nobody gives you an instruction booklet for this shit. And each person is different. Each child is different. So, and especially when you have other outlying circumstances, you know, a lot of times the person that they have to go to is a stranger. They feel more comfortable with a stranger than they do their own family because it's happening there. And a lot of times when they go to the parent or they go to the adult and they tell them what's happening, even if they can only explain a little bit of it, because I'll be honest with you, when you first come out about a situation like that, it is the hardest freaking thing you'll ever have to do because you live it when you're telling it. You're in that moment when you're telling it. I always pray for the children in the world, starting with mine, naturally. But unfortunately, sometimes we can't protect our children. Sometimes the evil gets through however it possibly can. And if it can't get to you, it gets to your children. It goes through your children to get to you. That's how evil works. And you try and fight it as much as you possibly can. You try to break those generational curses, and you try to have a better future for your children. You want them to. You don't want them to ever experience what you went through. And unfortunately, sometimes it does happen. And no, the rest of the world didn't listen to me when I told them the truth. Even my parents didn't listen to me. So when it comes down to your children, what do? When no one listened to you, are they going to listen to your kids? Are they going to support you as an adult for what happened to you in your past? I don't know. I personally have not experienced support other than a few people for situations. Yeah, maybe they understand it, but I never got my justice. My predator died before I had a chance to. My predator was my uncle. For years. And no one believed me. And then when it came down to me making sure in my mind that this would never happen again, it happened again. And again, and again, and again. And it's still happening. And no one is helping me. Everyone's listening, but they're not really hearing me. And it makes you feel like nobody gives a shit anymore. Nobody cares. Yeah, they see it. We see all this bad shit happening all the time on the world around us. But no one's willing to speak on it because they don't want to be involved. When we're the only ones that can keep it from happening again. We're the only ones that can be more involved so this way we don't have to worry about these things, right? And sometimes you never see the signs. Sometimes you find out years later. And you wish you could have gone back to help, to stop it from happening. You regret and you leave that imagery in your mind of whatever your thoughts are in that moment. And it stays stuck with you. And you constantly relive the memories no matter how old you are. And it affects every single aspect of your life. Your personal thoughts of yourself, your thoughts of other people, your safety net, the very core of your being is altered genetically. And I just want it all to stop. And I can't. I can't stop it. I need help stopping it. I need people who see what's going on to speak up. I need people who, when you have a feeling about a certain scenario, get involved. It's going to be really hard to protect the children of the earth going forward. And it's going to be really hard for those of us who have been through it to heal. So that way other people can understand where we're coming from. So that way when you get older, your relationships don't fail, that your business doesn't fail, that your personal thoughts of yourself don't fail. One moment can change your life for the rest of your life, whether that's good or bad. I had someone ask me one time, "Are you really there to protect the children?" Yeah, I am, in my heart and in my mind. Whether I'm successful at that, I don't know. But I'm going to keep trying. Even if it's just my own children. No matter how old they are. So yeah, I do talk about those hard conversations, and I do talk about those trigger things and those things that offend you and things that are very, very hard to talk about. And I know a lot of people are just like, oh my God, I can't believe she's talking about this. Well, guess what? Maybe we fucking should have a long time ago. Maybe we should talk about all the things that is in everybody's face right now. And we're not. We're more worried about what the next trend's going to be. And it's just adding to the problem. It's adding to us not being able to do what we need to do on an everyday basis. So that is my thought on that topic, for those of you who were wondering. And yes, I do feel that these conversations are very important. And yes, it is very difficult for us to decide as to what the level is for each age range, because each child understands things differently at different levels. And some children may never understand it, and I hope to God they never do. But I hope they never have to. Let's just rephrase that. I hope they never have to use the knowledge that they get. But arming them with some knowledge early on is the only help that you're going to give them in the long run. Allowing them to have a safe space to be able to communicate if they need to. And yes, speaking on situations that feel like may just throw an entire hot water balloon at you and destroy whatever thoughts that you may have had of your life. But it's necessary. It's necessary for us to keep trying to be there as much as possible. So this way, when situations like this come up, we can catch it right away, or at least sooner. And it's hard to see the red flags when there's certain scenarios happening, like abusive partners, or, like even in youth when they start to date. It's the same concept, And I mean, as of right now, what is the age range when they do start to do that? What is the age range in school that they start to teach them about the dangers of predators or, life lesson type scenarios? How young do they have to be to start learning about this stuff? Because the reality is that's the target area. That's the target area for predators. So what do you do to combat this? Do you tell them at a very young age about certain scenarios and things like that? Because you know how kids are. They're curious. They're going to start looking stuff up. And what's the first thing that they've got right in front of them? Internet. And because the internet is not managed, what's the first thing that they're going to look up is anything that you say. So, what comes along with that? Everything. Every single thing that an adult can look at is available for every underage person out there right now. And don't say, oh, well, North Carolina made these laws. Bullshit. Okay? These kids are a lot smarter than you think they are. They can hack into school systems without you even knowing about it. Okay? I know for a fact my daughter did it. Okay? She hacked into the principal's school system, into her own account, and changed her own profile picture as a joke. And that was in middle school. So these kids are a lot smarter than you are. So think about that, okay? How do you combat against everything that's out there right now and fully available for them in every single app, every single website that's out there right now, they have access to currently at a very, very young age, okay? And with AI changing everything to where you don't have to have a face, yeah, that's a problem, okay? Where they don't even know where your main linkage point is because the IP address is bounced off of some fucking internet thing in another state. Like, for example, this house, the internet is based in Tennessee. I live in North Carolina. My IP address is in Tennessee. Have fun finding the location, okay? For those of you who are hackers and stuff like that, please start helping people find these people, okay? Utilize your abilities of whatever it may be in a way that's beneficial. Anyway, heated topic. I've been on a roll this morning. I'm livid about certain scenarios. So, yes, I feel very strongly about this topic. And I think that it's something that we need to talk about. And I know it's something that nobody wants to talk about. They get offended as soon as I say it. And it's like, oh, well, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Well, maybe I'm not wrong. Maybe you guys need to start thinking about life in another fucking perspective from someone who's been there. Okay? Someone who has experienced it firsthand, as well as dealt with it in life in general. Okay? So, I think I know a little bit more about this than most people do. And I think that I'm saying what I'm saying from a standpoint that is valid. And maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Been wrong about a lot of other shit. So, anyway. Good morning. Enough of my ranting and raving about nonsense. We always say that we can't do anything about it. We're just one person. All it takes is one person. Anyway, on that note. So, morning messages. Good morning. PDF planner, like I said, I'm working on it. Morning routines, weather, OOTD. Socials, I think for Mondays, TikTok and IG Reels. Thank you for joining, by the way. Sorry for kind of throwing combative conversations at y'all. So yeah, it's one of those conversations that nobody really wants to talk about, but I think it's really important that we do. There's a difference between certain rights and wrongs, and sometimes that line somewhere in there gets blurred for people, and it's very hard to distinguish and to even see it because we're so stuck in our everyday, we're stuck in our internet, we're stuck in our scrolling that we don't see the grooming that's happening in the background. We don't see the invitation from another kid to hang out and it's not really a kid. You don't see the information pull that ends up happening from not only streaming, conversations that end up happening, and like pictures. When you're sharing pictures, especially even in kids, they're sharing the background. Remember I told you guys about social media and stuff? Right now the AI is looking for all the background stuff, so give it to them, right? But that's also how they're getting their information, is the background, is the pictures, is this, these people are very, very smart. They're stupid, but they're very, very smart in the aspect of how to get there. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that our defense against that is very limited because of the fact that it's introduced in many, many aspects from all around us at all times. So all that I can think to do is just try to do better, right? At the very baseline. And the only way that I know to do that is to try to either be more involved or have a third party triangulation involvement. Like for me personally, I got investigators involved. I had asked local police involvement. I asked court involvement. I asked DSS involvement. I asked FBI involvement. You can ask for help. It is out there and they want to help you. It's just, you've got to be aware that there are good and bad in that also. There's going to be officials that are going to be there for you. And then there's going to be officials that are not. They're going to think one way and you're going to think another. And you would think that they would be there to help you. And the next thing you know, you're signing a paper that you have no idea what it's about and everything gets dismissed. And the person gets to walk. And you get to watch them walk. And then later on, maybe they'll invite your kid back over to live with them. Think about that. I've had a lot of times where I have combated up against predators and lost. You want to know how heartbreaking it is to be a parent, to fight a pedophile and lose? And get to see them walking around? This is what makes murderers. Okay? And ultimately, like I said, each one of us has that 5D, 3D portal that we get to pick and choose as to what we allow through. You know, a lot of people say, oh, give it up to God. And then another question that I have is, where was God in that moment? It makes you question your own religion. It makes you question your own belief systems. It makes you question the government around you. It makes you wonder, who are they really there for? When you have all the evidence right in front of you, you have someone testifying on the stand against them, and they still walk. Or maybe they lied. Maybe somebody lied and said that somebody did something when they never really did. And you stood up for that person because you believed them. And then come to find out years later that they lied. I want to give you guys a little bit of a different perspective on some things. I want you to get some real life experience from someone who's been there. I want you to see how it feels, even for a moment. So this way you can understand where I'm coming from. That deep-seated hatred and anger. What do you do? What do you do? I knew exactly where my predator was my whole life, and I didn't do anything. He died free. Think about that. A family member died freely after years of molesting me. And it happens every single day. What happens to the person that's not gotten justice? Think about it. Every movie you've ever watched. What happens to the person who all of this bad shit has been done to. And no one, even with asking for help, gave them help. What did that person end up becoming? Every movie you've ever watched. They became vengeful. Maybe they waited a little while. Maybe they set traps. Maybe they convinced the predator to come and hang out. Violence does not beget violence. But injustice does create violence. And it spawns a whole new kind, especially one that is untamable, only by the person themselves. So I ask of you, for those of you who have been there, for those of you who feel triggered right now by what I'm saying, what would you do? Yes, I know I came on this with a really heavy topic that nobody really wants to talk about. Think of it the other way around. What if it was you that was accused? What if somebody lied and said that it was you that did it? How are you going to prove against it? Especially if they've got other people working with them. Maybe because of a vengeance thing, or maybe you pissed them off one day, or you have something that they want. Now all of a sudden they lie to the police and say, you did blah, 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 blah. How are you going to combat against that? I know for a fact that they have put people under the jail, so to speak, that have been innocent or could have been handled in a different manner, right? Maybe not as extreme as it was. They were made examples out of, especially at a young age. But then there's adults that go around doing this stuff that get away with it every single day. Maybe they don't get caught, or they do get caught, but then they find a way to pay their way out of it. It makes you want to be something that you don't want to be, just to get back, just to even the score, right? When even if I was to have done something to my predator, it wouldn't have fixed it. It would have never have changed it. It still happened. I still have to cope with this every single day of my life. And yes, it affects every single aspect of your life, no matter how old you are. Now, it's up to you to decide whether or not someone is forgiven. Okay? No matter what it is that happened in your life. It's up to you to decide. But just remember that not everybody thinks the same way that you do. Not everyone is as forgiving. Not everyone is as vengeful. Okay? But we do need to start really paying attention to this, especially now with this whole AI era. If you want to protect your children or the children around you, any child of the world, no matter what age, because it doesn't necessarily have to be underage. It could be an adult too. If you want to protect the people around you, I really need you guys to start standing up and speaking up. I need you to start fighting it back against opportunities that they could use to get to you, or to get to your children, or to get to whoever it is, right? And I know that my streams and stuff are going to get pushed to the bottom because I'm talking about this. But it is a topic that we need to start looking at. Like I said, we're starting to cut funding to schools. We're starting to cut funding to local police officers or fire department or whatever. Granted, fire department's not specifically about this topic. But anyway, places that we're supposed to be able to go to for help, they're cutting funding to. They're cutting the funding to cash services, which DV survivors rely on. It's an aspect that nobody wants to talk about, but it's really, really important that we do, because it affects the future of all of us. Once you start cutting out the funding for the lower levels, don't think that because you're in a middle level that you're any execution from that. It's going to hit us too. It's going to hit the upper echelon, if you so to speak, right? And we see it more and more prevalent every single day in celebrity societies, in our government, in our local DSS. We see it with leaders, people who are supposed to be there to protect us. Failing every day. And I do include myself in that conversation, because I too have failed. I failed at a lot of things. And I think that at a very baseline, we all need to accept the fact that we are failures, and that's okay. At our very weakest point, that's the only place that we can go forward so we can be stronger. And I know normally I come on here and I talk about all this kind of school stuff or social media or, whatever topic that's in my mind. And right now, this is a topic that's in my mind, and it is bugging me. And it has been bugging me for a while. Most of my life, if you look back through my history, I've always tried to combat against this situation. And I failed. Horribly failed. It was one generational curse that I hoped that I had stopped, but I failed. And you guys asked me the other day, what is my biggest regret? And it is that, I said the other day, it was me being authentic, that I wasn't being more authentic before now. I didn't understand myself more then than I do now. And I'll understand myself more as I get older. Maybe. But my biggest regret actually is that I did not protect my children more than I did. And that I did not succeed at protecting my children. So I think right now is the time for all of us to start pulling the trigger on certain aspects that we need to fight back. I mean, if you look around us right now, we're just allowing all this chaos to happen because we think it's outside of us. It's not. It's affecting all of us. We're just being ignorant to it. We're so used to seeing something on a screen and thinking, oh, that's far away, when really it's hitting home more than you realize. Go talk to your kids today and ask them if somebody did something bad to them. Just that. Don't be specific. Did somebody do something bad to you? And it's okay to talk to me about anything. You will not get in trouble for this conversation. And I don't care who you bring up. I don't care what names you throw. I don't care anything, as long as it's the truth. It has to be the truth. Go to your kids today and talk to them about that, please. For me. Even if it's just a minute. And I know that's one of those hard conversations that you don't want to fucking have because you don't want to find out the truth. You don't want to hear about something bad happening. But we need to. We need to face the problem head on. So this way we can combat against it. And it's hard, and it's going to be harder every single day. Like I said, the more that AI is involved and the more that technology is involved, and I'm not completely against technology. Y'all know this. I'm not completely against AI. Yes, it's a wonderful tool, but that's what it is. It's a tool. And how you use it is up to you. How others use it is up to them. So... And I know it's really hard to restrict your kids on internet and social media and stuff like that, because I'll be honest with you, if I picked up my kid's phone right now, first of all, I wouldn't even be able to get in a damn thing. Second of all, I wouldn't even know what apps to look for. Okay? I am 43 years old. I grew up in the social media era and walked through the entirety of it. And for some reason, only within the past 5 to 10 years, there has been such a big boom that I can't even keep up. I mean, am I wrong? Are there other parents out there that are just like, holy shit, how do I do this? Like, what do I do? Excuse me. I know that there's certain restrictions for things. And I know especially in North Carolina that they did push more restrictions on stuff. And yes, I am for that. But just be aware that just because those restrictions are there, that there's not a loophole to get around that shit. Okay? And fairly easily. I mean, honestly, all they have to do is take your ID. That's it. That's all they have to do. Maybe Photoshop something, and they've got access. It's literally that easy. So think about that before you start allowing your kids to start doing stuff. And I know that this is my guilt too. My kids are all about some social media. They're all about some internet, right? Especially apps. I don't understand the whole app thing. I just don't. Like even, and I was explaining this to Jeff, is one of the triggers that I personally have is my partner cheating on me. I have cheated on my partners and I have been cheated on. But one of my triggers is constantly worrying about whether my partner is either talking to somebody else or seeing somebody else behind my back. Because it's happened before, right? So my first instinct is to go check their phone. I know all of us do this. But once you have it, what do you look for? Like, what apps do you look for? And I know that there's, especially for iPhone, because I'm an Android user. For iPhone, there's separate secret little things in there that you can have it to where nobody sees what the fuck it is, unless you do by a certain code. So, how am I supposed to trust in the universe when I've had a history and currently have triggers and traumas, and I need to know the truth. So what do? You go out and you try to find the truth. Whether it's by hiring a private investigator, which I'll be honest with you, a lot of times they may not even have access to stuff. I mean, really. Yeah, it's not something that's, a guarantee. Excuse me, ma'am. No, you can go outside without climbing on stuff. Here, come on, let's go outside. Another thing is too, from someone who has had a previous prawn industry, just going to say that, knowledge and experience, I see how quickly it could be trafficking. I see how quickly it could be convinced into doing things, especially at a young age. So, and they make it seem like it's the greatest thing in the world, right? Like, it's so glamorous, and that if you talk about it, that you're going to be the one that's going to get in trouble. See what I'm saying? Make themselves into being this title of some sort, right? It's very heartbreaking from both angles. Now, I know for a fact that I was a teenager once too, and I was all for that life, right? I was all for it. I started becoming a stripper when I was 16. 15, 16 years old. That's illegal. But guess what? I did it. So don't think that your kids are safe. Don't stay in that mindset of thinking that this world is some beautiful place that has nothing wrong with it. That just because you live in a good neighborhood, or, oh, well, this has never happened to me before, or, oh, I'll never let that happen. It happens. And it happens a lot more than you think. Around you all the time. It's as easy to get a sexual offender title as it is as peeing in a parking lot. Being a couple and wanting to do something a little bit different. So we're going to go to a parking lot. Nobody's going to see us. That's how fast you can get a sex offender charge. Okay? So looking at it from both angles, be aware that that is very much a reality. Okay? And like I said, what do we do to combat this? You know, I mean, yes, I know you can go to court and you can fight it and you can whatever, but there's going to be people that are going to be for you, and then there's going to be people that are going to be completely against you because it doesn't fit their narrative. Maybe you, as a parent, want to go talk to somebody about something that you think is happening. Who do you go to? You know how expensive therapy is? Do you know how hard it is to be a parent to talk about this stuff? You know how hard it is to be a survivor to talk about this stuff? Especially when it's in the moment and happening and you're in it. People don't want to believe it because the other person seems like they're this great person, right? Maybe they portray themselves to be like this elite being. Or like, you know, super religious or super political or leaning towards one specific side. Or maybe nothing at all. It's so hard to see it when it's happening. And when you finally find out about it, what do you do to combat it at that point? Because it's already happened. Sometimes you don't have the evidence to work with it. Sometimes you don't have what you need, and it doesn't help you with your case. What do you do? When you go to people and you ask them for help and then they don't help you, and they actually fight you on it. It makes you look at the world differently. It makes you not want to ask for help. And you need to. You need to keep talking. You need to keep asking for help. Keep reaching out to people. Keep in contact with, you know, anybody that could help you. And I know a lot of times it seems like, well, who? It could be a stranger. Literally, it could be a stranger. So be aware of that. Be aware of your surroundings a little bit more. A little bit more every day. Not just you and your family. Maybe when you're going to work, or, you know, you're driving down the road and you start to notice that there's something wrong about a vehicle. And maybe you think, oh, nothing of it. But you can't get it off your mind. There's a reason for that. Okay? Speak on your intuition. I know that a lot of us don't like to make false claims and we don't want to get involved in situations that don't have anything to do with us. But you could save a life by just saying something. Literally in that moment. I don't know how many videos I've seen of people finding children in vehicles. And I mean, not just a couple, a lot. You know, like just... This world is a really, really horrible place. But it's also a really good one. And I need you guys to reach out. I need you guys to be a little bit more aware. I need you to pay attention to your family members, to your friends, to the people that are around you. If you notice that there's a regular every single day, just be a little bit more aware. Okay? If you see a vehicle that looks out of place, maybe someone that's walking around or something. A lot of times they won't be seen because they use the internet. Okay? And they will use AI. They will use apps. They will use other people's profiles to get to you, to get to your kids. You know, and maybe even dating. And I know this sounds sick, but dating, people will date you to get to your kids. I know. I don't ever want this to happen again. I never wanted it to happen again. But it is. And it's an everyday thing that we have to keep combating against. I need you guys' help. Please support your local resources. Find out about certain programs and stuff that are in your area. If for some reason that you are younger on this stream and you have friends and siblings and people that you know, talk to them. Say, hey, if there's anything that you want to talk about, I'm here for you. And when they come to you, it's going to be a hard conversation. It's going to make you want to throw up or possibly even do some bad shit, okay? Don't. Just listen. Because that person, that's all they need right now is to just listen, okay? You can take the action later. You can take the action after the conversation. Always believe children when they tell you that something is wrong. Even if they act strange later and you think that they're lying, still believe it. Because sometimes that predator can actually convince the child or person that there's nothing wrong. And that if they say anything, that they're the ones that are going to get in trouble. I didn't say anything for years. And I kept it in my mind the entire time. And I thought that that's how it was supposed to be. And I started acting on that with my friends at a very young age. I actually lost a friend because of it. Because I thought that that's how life was supposed to be, that that's what you were supposed to do. It's okay. I was a kid. Then I was the one that always got in trouble. Because I started doing stuff. Or I started saying, oh, well, this and this and this happened. No, you're lying. No, I wasn't. And no one believed me. It puts a very different mindset on the topic when it happens to you, or when it happens to your children, or to a family member, or someone close to you, or you hear about it from somewhere else. And we hear about it all the time, and we ignore it. We think, oh, well, that's already handled. No, it's not. Just because we hear about it doesn't mean it's handled. The only way to combat against this is if we all work together to combat against it. And the only time I ever brought people together was to hate me. So if you hate me, congratulations. Go join the club. I have been a pedophile hunter pretty much my entire life. I'm not about to stop now. What happens, also, another topic, if you do something like that, and you're charged with it, are you able to come back and live a normal life from something like that? Can someone with a really, really bad title come back from something like that? And by come back, I mean like be able to live a normal life after that. Or is it the end all be all of all beings? Because, like I said, what if it is somebody that lies about you? What if somebody charges you with that? What are you going to do? I can't believe I've been on here for an hour already talking about this, but I mean, it was a really heavy topic that was on my mind this morning, and I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to think right now. And I need y'all's help to help me understand what I need to do going forward with this situation. I've been strong for so long, and I don't want to give up completely. I mean, I even tell you guys not to give up completely. But there's just something that just tears you down, and it does. It weighs you down so much when all you're trying to do is combat against something, and it's just like the whole world is against you. It just takes one person. And it's like, oh, well, we have all these different evils that we learn about in life, right, as we're getting older. And as we become adults, we start to understand it a little bit more. So again, I go back to, when do we start teaching kids about this stuff? When do we start teaching children so this way they can combat against it and they can come out and be honest about what's going on? Right then. Not wait. Not lean into whatever is going on. Right then. And stand on it. And then for someone who is accused, what do they do? We always hear about, of someone getting accused of something and then they go to jail or they get incarcerated or something happens, right? But what happens after that when they're released? Yeah, they stay registered, but do they live a regular life? Are they allowed to have children after that? Because I know for a fact that there are some pedophiles in the area that have children after they've been charged. Are you allowed to live your life after that? Do you live the rest of your life in hiding? And what happens in the brain that makes people think that that's okay? Is it something that they were taught and they think that it's okay so that that's what they just do? Oh, my whole family's done this for generations, so I need to do this too? Yes, it's a sick conversation. But like I said, it's one that we need to have because it is very much a reality in our world today. Same thing as, rapists, thieves, murderers, everything. Every title that you could possibly think that would be negative. And it's easy. It's easy to, fall into that category once an emotion happens that's so elated. It's hard to stop yourself in that moment. It is. Now, I know I'm going to hell eventually because I'm a murderer. But I stop myself every single day. And I try harder. And even when I falter and feel like I'm right there on the edge, I still stop myself. I know that my mission here on this planet is a lot bigger than I ever thought possible. And you all will get to see that soon. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't see anything at all. Maybe you will never even hear about it. There's people on the other side of the world, or even in this world, and not this world, this country, that have no idea who the hell I am. Never seen me a day in their life. Never heard a single word I've ever said. And I hope that I'm able to help them too. So I'm just waiting for them to say that I'm a terrorist or some shit. Like, what's next on the list? What time is it now? Anyway. So yeah. I know I've been talking about this for like an hour now. And unschooling is not a normal, this is not a normal conversation for unschooling anyways. But like I said, I feel like this is something that needs to be said. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be brought to the forefront a little bit more, especially now with all the issues with trafficking and the chaos in the world today. And I know that all of this is changing. The brick and mortar of yesterday is now all online. So I feel like we need to up the protection agency. And then I start hearing stories about the protection agency taking kids to be trafficked. So it's like, who do you trust? Who do you believe when the lines between reality and the behind the scenes are blurred? Who do you trust when the one person that you went to is the one person who made it worse? Or didn't listen? Or didn't do anything at all? Do you forgive them? Because you're a good Christian person? Do you banish them? What do you do when the devil comes knocking at your door? Now, I wish all of you that ever have to combat against something like this all the strength in the world, because you will need it. And anybody who has ever been through something like this, I hope you learn how to heal and cope and deal with what has happened already. But as proactive as we possibly can be is what we need to be going forward in the future. And like I said, I'm sorry for coming on here and being super heavy this morning, but it's weighing heavy on my mind. It's a topic that hits close to home on many angles, and I've just been kind of dealing with it. I didn't ask for help that much as I should have. And I should have spoken up about what was happening to me sooner. And for those of you who have been through something, I really wish you would talk about it. And I know it's hard. It's hard for all of us. I hope y'all enjoyed my past hour of ranting. Sorry. I know that there's a lot of really heavy beliefs on many angles of the topic that I just brought up. And I know that that's a very touchy subject, but that's what I talk about. I talk about subjects that are very touchy. And I talk about things that are very real. Things that are happening right now, things that have happened in the past, and things that are going to happen in the future. Possible predictions, naturally, but, you know, it's based off of internal algorithms of my own. So, as well as information that I'm gathering while I'm going about my day, which you can too. So, like I said, if you see it, say it. Be a little bit more involved in your community, into the people around you. Like I said, if you're online, say if you're younger, and you have a friend online, even if they're on the other side of the world, even if they're in another country, give them a chance to be able to speak freely, even if you're in your games or whatever. Give them a chance to be able to speak freely about anything that's ever happened. I mean, even if you have to talk somewhere else, but, you know, and I say this with wholehearted lightness, right? To be able to help. But I'm just going ahead and letting you know that this is how they're going to lure them in. The same way that they get help is the same way that they get lured in. So just be aware of your surroundings, be aware of your friends, your family, all that stuff. And look out for the red flags. And if you don't know them, start to learn a little bit more about them, because you don't understand that the life you may save may end up being your own. So, nobody ever wants anything bad to happen naturally, but there are some people that want to sit and watch the world burn, and they don't care. They don't care. And I know it's hard to understand from an aspect of someone that actually does care. They can't understand that aspect from someone else. They can't understand that somebody would do something so horrible, but they do, and it happens every single day. And again, do you forgive them? If you've had something happen in your own personal life, do you forgive the person that did something bad to you? At the very least, I want you to forgive yourself. Okay? Start there. Forgive yourself for going through what you went through, and start learning the coping and healing mechanisms to be able to move forward from it. If you have to take some kind of 3D paper legal action, go forward with that. But ultimately, I want you guys to forgive yourselves first. And if you see me looking down and looking up, looking down, it's because I have multiple cameras. I'm multi-streaming right now. I'm not only on TikTok, but I'm also on Twitch. And soon I'll be on multiple other sites. For the homeschooling, unschooling, for the stream, I think they require me to say 18 plus. But for the entirety of it, any advice that I give is any age. For the unschooling part of it, I started doing that because I was dealing with, especially during COVID, a lot of truancy issues. So I started homeschooling my kids. I failed horribly at that because I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and I just dove right into it. I opened up the homeschool and I started homeschooling my kids, as well as another child that was not my child, but I started doing that as well. So over time, they have each done their own thing. And I continued doing the unschooling, homeschooling part online. When I first started doing social media, like I said in the stream yesterday, I had separated up certain sections personally of different things that I was going to be doing, especially in my Twitch, which then got transferred over to my YouTube, evidently. So yes, there is question out there as to whether my responsibility level is there for that, but understand where I was coming from at the point in time, that I was not fully aware of how things worked for the sites. So going forward, like I said, we will be including early sex education in with the homeschooling, as well as warning signs as what to look out for. Okay. And I know that this is going to be a very touchy subject for a lot of people, especially with the age ranges and with the personal belief systems that are out there today. But I think that this is, for safety reasons, very important at the very baseline for us to be able to communicate that information, so this way they can arm themselves a little bit more. And like I said, this is a very touchy subject which actually I think went through Congress at one point to get it into the school systems. So um, age range wise, I'm not real sure. I want to say middle school and up as far as like sex education portion. But for elementary schools, they need to have warning signs. So this way they can communicate to their teachers or communicate to an elder or another student, even if they have to. Like, hey, friend, I need to talk to you. This other person may not understand what's going on, but they can relay that, as well as having therapy within school systems. Within your homeschooling, I suggest that you have some kind of either therapy type baseline in there as a section. I know that therapy is really freaking expensive for a lot of people, especially those who do not have government assistance. But if you do have government assistance, I highly, highly, highly suggest you get your kid in therapy right now. Like, I'm not even joking. Look into therapy, get your kid therapy, because they may not tell you everything. They may not feel comfortable enough, and you may not be their safe space. They may feel like they're going to get in trouble if they tell you. Okay? So you got to give them something to work with, right? And that includes therapy. Therapy is going to be your best bet as far as being able to learn coping mechanisms at a very young age, because they do play therapy. They work with people who are like really super young on understanding the rights and wrongs of, sexual education, and the dangers that are out there today. And I really feel strongly about this because of my own personal experience. I did not have sex education at the age of 4 or 5 years old because I wasn't even in school yet. Like, I may have been in preschool or something. I was still learning how to write. And that's what they do. They utilize that age range so this way they can't communicate. So be aware of the dangers in the world around you. Be aware of trafficking, which is very, very prevalent right now. Be aware of, of these things going on. I mean, we look at it, we see it, we hear about it for decades. I know my entire life I've heard about it. But understanding it is another level, and comprehending it is a whole nother level. And I don't want anybody to go through this. I don't want anybody to have to deal with this stuff, but I would rather you have the knowledge and the somewhat of an understanding, so this way you can combat against it if it does happen in your life. And you know where to go to. Even as an adult, when your child comes to you and tells you these things are happening, I promise you, your blood is going to boil. It took everything in my existence to stay locked in her eyes when she told me what was going on. So this way, I did not lose my shit. Okay? It's going to be a hard conversation. You are going to need therapy for it. Okay? And I really do believe that therapy is something that is requirement for not just the victim, but for the entire family. Because it doesn't just affect the one person. It affects everyone that's around them, including their friends. Because now they've got to deal with it. Imagine being a kid, right? And you go and tell an adult something happened. Now all of a sudden it's all over the place, right? Everybody knows about it. I was on the front page of the paper. Okay? Now everybody knows about it. How does that make that kid feel? Granted, yeah, it needs to be said, but now the kid doesn't know where to go. Even if it's to like another student, sometimes when it gets blown way out of proportion up front, it affects that kid even more to where they don't even want to talk about anything anymore to anyone, because the social security construct has been destroyed. So where do we give them the opportunity to be able, even as a child, to be able to speak freely enough to be able to tell us what's going on? And once they do, yes, we're going to act on it. But now their friends are aware of it. So who do they have to go to after that's happened? It might just be the therapist. The therapist might end up being the only safe place for this person to go to. So give them that chance. Like I said, if you have to put therapy in school, I know that we're getting funding cut for a lot of stuff For those of you who are homeschooling, like I said, include like a therapy session, include a family time, include something, even if it's just for like a few minutes, no electronics, all electronics off for 10 minutes. I mean, I know that seems like freaking possible for some of us. But you could save a life by doing that, okay? So just try your best to be a little bit more aware. Like I'm repeating myself. I do it all the time. But be more aware of your surroundings. Learn more about what you can do to combat against this. And try to understand what the mentality is behind all of this. So this way you can find something that you can work with to combat against it also. So for that aspect of it, I'm still kind of working on it. Ethics are coming into play in this, so as well as morals, which is kind of chaos right now. So so as I move forward with this, we will be adding that section to it. And then I'm going to be evaluating how my stream is going to be titled. As of right now, the state of North Carolina is looking at my homeschooling because I don't have any paperwork in there because everything's online. So as we move forward into the entire new homeschooling era, because of the fund cutting and people getting laid off and a lot of the stuff is going online, like everything is going online. Everything that you used to do is going to be virtual or done by robots. So for those of you who are looking at that aspect, especially those of you teachers that were recently let go, my condolences, seriously, because we need you. At a very baseline, we need you. All teachers, all police officers, all firemen, all government agents, we need you. This entire country was built off of the wholeness of that. And when it comes time, you can say all this bad stuff that you want to. But when it comes down to it, when it comes time when you need them, you're going to wish they were there. You're going to wish that cash that was there. You're going to wish that teacher was there, or that therapist was there, or this police officer was there, or fireman was there. When the world starts turning into chaos, you're going to realize how good you had it before. And don't get me wrong, yes, I understand that change is mandatory and that some things really do have to change because they don't make any sense anymore because the world's changed. We've evolved as a society. So going forward, I want us to really think about what the laws and rules and regulations and what boundaries that you have, as well as what boundaries are you willing to enforce in your family and your children and your surroundings. For those of you who don't have children or don't plan on having children anytime soon or at all, just because it's not your kid doesn't mean it's not a child of the world. Okay? We all need to be there for each other. Especially now. So. And whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. Maybe what I'm talking about is too open-minded for some people. Like I said, it's the elephant in the room that needs to be talked about. We haven't been talking about it. And it's really fucking important right now. So, it's almost like I want to take a moment of silence for the world right now. We're the only ones that can fix this. We need to work together. So, look into the history, look into the current, and look forward to the future, because we are the ones that are going to forge this path. And it's going to be chaos for a little while, because we have what we knew that worked for a while but doesn't work anymore because things have changed. So everything that we used to do is not going to work the same way anymore. We have to find new ways to make it work. We have to think outside the box. We have to think past what our own personal objectives are into a worldwide thought rather than just one individual, but yes, still maintain the one individual thought. It's a duality. It's a requirement for survival at a very baseline. So, yeah, I pray for my kids and children in the world all the time, and I don't have one specific religion that I believe in, but I do believe in God. Even when there's moments that I feel that there is none. So, I need y'all to pray for me. For those of you that do, for those of you who don't pray, please just send me good vibes, please. So, anyway, on that note, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. For those of you who don't want to follow through with the unschooling, homeschooling, Manic Monday, sorry, y'all. It's a really heavy topic this morning, so. Granted, this happened years and years and years ago. It was just brought up again this morning. So, like I said, with trauma survivors, anytime even a mention of something or a scent of a light, anything can trigger you into remembering and being in that moment right then. And it's a horrible feeling because you have no control over it. It's all happening in your mind. It's not happening out here. It's all here. And it's not something that you can control sometimes. Sometimes it just flashes in your mind and it takes complete control over your entire body. It's really that bad sometimes. Brings you right back to that moment. And you're in it. You're right there in that moment. And it's happening all over again. And you're feeling all the feelings all over again. Including the heart racing, the confusion, the pain, the heartache, the thought. And it doesn't go away. I'm 43. It hasn't gone away. Yes, maybe it'll subside over time. Maybe I find better coping mechanisms or ways to deal with it, right? But it affects every single aspect of my life. Even if I don't realize it subconsciously, it affects it. My relationships, my behaviors, my mannerisms, and has been affecting me my entire life. It then affects you as a parent. Maybe you become overprotective because you want to protect them from the worst, right? And then it still happens. And it destroys you. It makes you feel like you have no power over this evil in the world. But you're wrong. You have more power than you realize every single day. And it has no power over you. And I want you to keep saying that the evil of the world has no power over you. Whatever you believe in, doesn't matter. That you are stronger than it at all times. And maybe I am naive in saying this. You know, a lot of people say, well, if you believe in something that you can't see, then you're crazy. You're not living in the real world. The real world is here. Yeah, the real world is very here. It's very real. But I can believe in something greater than myself. And I want you to believe in something greater than yourself. I want you to know that you're not the only one that is combating against this. Even if you feel like you're alone. Even if you feel like you're cornered and isolated and hostaged in your own space, in your own mind, the limit is only yours. And I know that it's easy for me to say this sitting in my living room right now, but for the most part, yes, there are certain circumstances that you are not able to get past certain scenarios. It's understandable. But I hope those who have seen this or will see this will be able to at least to have some inspiration or have some hope and energy flow to you so you can start paying attention to these things and start speaking on them and working with the people around you. I'm not perfect in any way, but I know that I feel very strongly about this. And like I said, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking at this all wrong, but I don't feel like I am. I feel like very, very strongly about combating against this. And I know that people make mistakes and they do the wrong thing. I know that people don't think clearly and that they do things in the moment and sometimes they don't even realize what they're doing. Sometimes they don't even realize it till way later what they've done. And like I said, do you forgive them? Or do you banish them? Or both? Or do you do nothing at all? And just stay in your mind in your ignorant bliss and say, oh, well, it's not happening in my backyard, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's not happening to me. I'll never let that happen. Right there is your weakness. Right there is your weakest point, thinking that you're invincible, because you're not. You are very, very far from invincible. You are literally jello on a stick. I know this from personal experience also. So, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to like what I'm saying today. But I feel that it's very important that we talk about these things. I know I triggered a lot of people just by coming on here. It's just a heavy topic. It's just heavy. And nobody wants to be around somebody who's heavy. So then you lose friends. You lose family members. You lose your kids. You lose people around you that you thought were always going to be there for you. Because you went through something and you're different now. And they don't know how to handle that. You ever have somebody come up to you and start telling you about all their problems? How does it make you feel when they start doing that? Does it make you feel awkward? Does it make you feel like kind of standoffish? Like you got a cold shoulder? Like, oh, no, don't come near me with that bullshit. You keep that over there. You got that dingy vibe. You dusty. You got all that negative shit on you. Goodbye. It's hard to be a survivor. It's hard to tell people the truth sometimes. It's hard to be yourself when you're constantly in your mind thinking about something that happened 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. And I know for my age, 43 and above, was always told not to talk about those things. How dare you? It's a sin. We don't talk bad about family. I don't care what Uncle so-and-so did. They're family. That's blood. Can someone who has had a bad past have a good future? I need this answer. I need to know that everything's going to be okay. I need to know that my children are protected at all times and that all the children in the world are protected at all times. I need you guys to start doing more, saying more, being there more. And like I said, once you get to a certain point, we all think like, oh, okay, well, justice has been done. And in our minds, we cut off the rest of what the rest of it is. We don't think anymore on it. But what happens after that supposed justice has been done? What happens after that? From both sides. And I know that's a topic that none of you guys want to talk about. When you have a perspective change happen in your life, whether it's personally or someone around you, it really makes you wonder and second guess yourself. Did I do the right thing? Was I thinking right? What if it was me? What if the victim was me? What if the predator was me? All of these thoughts. In every single aspect of it. When I first started, now mind you, I've already told you about the background from the victim side of point of view. When I first started talking to inmates, I did it as a Christmas card thing. And I thought that it was going to be really good to do that. Because people who are inmates, they don't ever hear from anybody ever, right? And I started hearing the stories that these people were telling me about why they were incarcerated or what happened. Now, mind you, they didn't go into extreme detail. Pretty much most of it's public knowledge anyways. But I started to see the human behind the monster. And it made me wonder if there's hope for people like that. Can they be cured? Can they be healed to live in society normally? And maybe they can, I don't know. Maybe there's like programs and services. I have no idea. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I don't want to. But I'm saying, is there something, this is my personal question to the world, if if you do something really, really bad, is there coming back? Is there a way to come back from that? Is there a way to be redeemed in society from something that you did that was so horrible in your past that you could live a successful future? I mean, I personally, when I was doing the woodworking, I even offered up the idea to have inmates come work for me, even if it was on a social credit system, even if it was just for community service points. I know this is a topic that a lot of you don't want to hear. You don't want to talk about this. But we need to. Is there a way to come back from a negative situation? Is there a way to heal somebody from that so that way they can be functioning in society? I know that there's youth programs out there that offer this for youth that have been involved in certain situations like this. Maybe not all same situations. Maybe it was, like I said, theft or murder or, pedophile or rape or whatever you want to call it, for whatever reason anybody would be incarcerated severely for, right? But I know for a fact that there are innocent people in jail right now. And I also know that there are guilty people out on the street right now that never got anything. We say, oh, well, so-and-so deserves this or so-and-so deserves that. And then if you talk about religion, it's like, oh, well, we have no choice on the matter. Also depends on your belief system. I mean, we see it every day. We see it all around us from people that we're supposed to be looking up to, from people that are the least likely getting charged with stuff that, like, just seems so outrageous. And it makes me wonder, like, when is it going to be me? When is it going to be you? Especially with this AI. AI called 911 and reported a murder of someone that was totally fine. When the police showed up, there was nothing wrong. So who's to say that they're not going to charge you with some random craziness and have a video to go along with it? A court judge the other day realized after a period of time of arguing with someone virtually that it wasn't even a human being. It was an AI in court. So I'm imploring of you and asking of you, please, whoever is in charge of this AI stuff, find a way to put a firewall in there to stop it from being able to do this. But we can't. Everything's connected. It's open AI. So what happens when the world goes to shit and everything turns to chaos and you get charged with something that you didn't fucking do? How are you going to combat against that when you have evidence against you? Even if it's not real. Y'all not see this? This should be as much of a topic as AI is a topic. It really makes me wonder and worry and fear for the future. I can't even tell you how many kids at the border right now. I can't even tell you how many kids in the world right now. I can't tell you how many people go missing every single day. Like I said, if you see it, say it. If you see something's out of place, say something. If you have a friend, talk to them, tell them, give them an open space to be able to communicate with you in any way possible, whether it's a letter, talking over the phone or virtually, or, Just reaching out to somebody, anybody, it doesn't matter. Write it down. And if you can't get it out, if you're not ready to get it out yet, for those of you who are survivors, if you're not ready to talk about it, write it in lyrics. Make music. Create something. Do artwork. A therapist will tell you that one of the things that they look at, especially in like elementary students, is their artwork. Look at your kids' artwork. Look at what they're creating. A lot of their surroundings is going to tell you what's going on up here because, like I've said in the stream before, everything that you are, you surround yourself with. If you ever want to get an idea of what somebody's really like, you go to their house, right? Because everything in their house is pretty much indicative of who they are. They surround themselves with things that they like and what they do every day. The type of things that we pick and choose to be around us at all times is who we are. It's just an expression of self. So when you're reading what they're writing, even if it's a story, even if it doesn't seem real, maybe it's a character, look at it. And maybe you might be able to get some insight. And if you don't understand how to read it or look at it or what to look for, ask for help. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to help you, okay? Yes, you're going to have to pick and choose and make those own choices for yourself as to how you're able to do that going forward, but try your best. And just keep breathing. That's all we really can do is just try to make it half a day at a time and just keep breathing through all of this because the world is a very chaotic place right now. So yes, I am going to talk about it. Yes, I am going to bring up those trigger conversations. And yes, I'm probably going to get banned off the internet at some point because I'm too open-minded for most people. I look at things from both sides of the pages. I look at that book of life from both sides. And yes, there's a little gap in between, and there's a whole bunch of nonsense around it, all around. Emptiness, nothingness. It doesn't make any sense half the time. And no, it's not as clear as black and white. It's not written down all the time. Sometimes it's in the ethers. Sometimes those little warning signs are out of nowhere, and it's intuition that gets you through. And I always implore of you guys to keep using your imagination and keep using your intuition as much as possible. When I say intuition, it's that feeling that you get that something's off. Something's just not right. Or maybe you keep thinking about something consistently. Maybe that one thing kind of stood out of what your kid told you or what someone said or did. Maybe they acted differently than they normally do. Or maybe they act exactly the same. Especially in teenagers, it's hard to tell. No kid wants to talk to their parent about stuff. Unless you have a really close bond with them. So, and even when you do have a close bond, half the time they don't want to talk about anything anyway. So, yes, it is hard to go into this, but I know that you guys know what I'm talking about, and you guys will be able to see the signs a lot sooner going forward now that I've brought it up. Because that's the whole thing about, molecules, life and existence. It's a duality, right? Until it meets the observer. Once it meets the observer, one path has to die. It has to go away because there's only one true path. So when you are told something or made aware of something, it brings it to your attention as the observer. So now you're forced to have to look at that path. So I implore of you to keep your eyes peeled and keep speaking on what you're seeing. And if you see something, say something. And I know I keep repeating myself, sorry. But, it's imperative for all of us. If something happened to you in the past, talk about it. If you feel like something is going to happen, talk about it. Be proactive, And a lot of times you won't even realize that you're in it.
You guys won't even realize that you're in the middle of being convinced to. Sometimes it's not as like the movies show. Sometimes it's a slow progression, kind of like under the radar kind of stuff. Sometimes it's not like, kidnapping, like where they just grab you out of your yard or something. Maybe it's not like that. Maybe it's an under the table thing. Maybe it's I'm just going to talk about it. I'm going to convince the other person to do this for me, kind of thing. So, guilty by association, as well as like, coercion, is prevalent in this also. So don't think that it's cut and dry in one way of being. And that's another thing that they don't tell us about. I know that at least with me growing up, they did talk about, stranger danger and stuff like that. But they didn't tell you about like, certain aspects that are a little bit more in depth, because it's a touchy subject. It's one of those things that you're not real sure, like I said, as far as what age range do you introduce this information to, because are they willing or able to understand it and comprehend it in a way that's going to be beneficial to them? How do you explain that to a kid who has no idea what the hell you're talking about? And now, because you brought it up, guess what all they're thinking about? And kids have a big imagination. So yeah, it's hard to really like come into this because you don't know whether or not they're telling the truth. But I suggest that you always believe that they're telling the truth. Yes, kids have big imaginations. Even if the claim ends up becoming false, still listen to them, okay? Because just because it became false in that moment doesn't necessarily mean that it's not false in the long run, okay? I personally have experienced this where I was given information, I combated against it, went to court, got FBI involvement, got police involvement, everything, and it's still lost. So that person's still walking out on the street right now, and I got no justice. My children got no justice. So, so yeah. It's a really hard topic, but it needs to be talked about. God, I've been talking about it for 2 hours. It's such. Anyway, so, um, find out whatever resources are available in your area, as well as, if there is anything that maybe you can start a program where they are working together against people who are doing this. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there is programs out there that already have this in existence. So, promote it. I mean, I don't know however you would do that, because a lot of times, if they have someone that is combating against it, they're trying to be inconspicuous to combat against it. So it's like one of those triangulation, multi-dimensional conversations that end up happening, because it's like, no, yes, yes, no, yes, no, no, yes, no, yes, no, 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 yes, no, no. And in that chaos is what they love. They love that chaos because you feel like you can't do anything, but you can. Now, granted, I don't condone violence. Take the right path, even if you feel like that right path is not working for you. Because trust me, I wanted to take that justice into my own fucking hands. And I did. And I still lost. So, it is what it is. Don't ever give up. Like I said, just because it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean that that person won't get caught in the long run. Okay? And yes, karma comes for everyone, and even if you don't believe in karma, it comes for everyone. I don't care who you are. I don't care what title you have. I don't care how much you think you got away with it, you will get caught. I promise you that. I will personally put a blessing on those who deserve justice. I bless you. I don't really have any power to say so, but I actually do. And all of you do too. Your words hold power. Your thoughts hold power. And at the very baseline of it all, I want you to be there for each other as much as you can. And at the core, to be there for yourselves. So. Anyway, it's very confusing, I know, but anyway. I didn't want to come on here and just talk about that. This whole 2-hour conversation was not something that I normally talk about. This actually was the first time I ever brought this shit up. So, so yeah. Like I said, I don't wish this on anybody ever, but it is very much a reality. And I hope that you're able to heal. It doesn't even feel like it's been 2 hours. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Because normally I just talk about like the unschooling and stuff like that. It's really and I even went to the school to ask for help. So when everyone that you would have thought would have been there to help you, and then they're not. Every single person. Never give up completely. There is good people out there in the world. There's a lot of good people out there in the world. Good people that would never do anything like that to you. Or to your kids. Or to your family. And I hope you find them all. For both sides of that conversation. For those of you who have ever done anything wrong, I hope that you get help. I hope that you find the way, the part of your brain that made you do whatever it was that you did. So that way you can start healing yourself. Not just for you, but for the rest of the world too. Whether it was an addiction or maybe something that you did. Something you said. Or didn't say. Or didn't do. I hope you heal. It makes you really wonder about this world. And if there's any good left in it, let's please, please, please enforce that. Don't take action against somebody that you think something happened until you get the facts. So, and like I said, if a child comes to you and tells you something, please believe them. Even if it seems outlandish or, oh my gosh, the person they're talking about, how could they ever believe the kid? Even if like they talk about it in a way that's like characters, and I'm just being drawn to the fact of characters or some kind of something that you don't fully understand. Maybe a conversation that they have that you don't, sounds like gibberish. Maybe it's broken up or it's really hard for them to explain it. Um, or maybe you don't specifically remember it, or you know, the time frame doesn't add up. Maybe they keep changing the story. It doesn't matter. Believe them anyway. Okay. A lot of times I know from myself that in the past, certain aspects of the scenario altered in my mind and I didn't remember specifics like I should have until later. And then I remembered. So if someone comes to you and they start telling you about something, believe them what they're telling you. Okay. Um, so yeah, that's really all I can say. um, so yeah, this Manic Monday did not turn out the way that I thought it would, but it is what it is. And I hope that, you know, this encourages you to use your powers in a way that is beneficial. I really needed somebody. I've really needed people in my life a long time now. And the people that did help me along the way, I want to thank you. You know who you are. I don't have to say names. And for those of you who have been against me, just understand that none of you will prosper. I was looking over what I was actually going to talk about for the past 2 hours and just was thinking about how time went by so fast and everything that I just said. It literally felt like a blip of a moment, like it's only been 15 minutes, but it's been 2 hours. And that's how it feels when you go back into these scenarios. You lose time, you lose yourself, you lose everything around you. Life doesn't seem the same anymore. And you just start to hate everything and everyone. You become recluse, or you just don't want to talk at all. Because why talk when no one's listening? Especially if they're calling you a liar. When I was young, my principal used to lock me in the closet for punishment for misbehaving in class. And he would leave me there all day. And this became a regular thing during all of first grade. Finally, one day, there was 2 doors, and just a room, and a light, and a desk, and that was it. So one day, I decided, to hell with you. If you're going to put me in here, I'm going to stay in here. So I tied my shoelaces to both the doors so they couldn't open the doors. Eventually, they got the doors open, because shoelaces don't last that long, especially during the 90s, 80s, 90s. And I got in more trouble. But I figured, hell, if I'm going to get in trouble, I might as well get in trouble for something that's worth it. So I didn't even have anybody safe to go to talk to. My outbursts were because I couldn't communicate properly and because things were happening that I couldn't explain. And I wanted help, but I didn't know how to reach out. So I first went to anger because no one was listening to me. So if your child is all of a sudden randomly acting out, it's not because they have a behavior problem. It's probably because something's happening and they can't communicate it to you. I had a speech impediment growing up, especially in first grade, where I couldn't even talk straight. I could talk, but I couldn't talk straight. So not only that, did I have bullies at school. So my friends that were around me, I couldn't even talk to. The teachers and the principal, I was a problem. And it followed me my entire life. I've always been the problem child, the troublemaker, the one that is not like everybody else, doesn't fit into society's little box. And although my halo may be broken and all you see is horns, know that I am working on healing, laying gold in the empty spaces, that wealth is just a matter of perception. I know that a lot of you are not going to understand me, and that's okay. I don't understand a lot of you either. But at a baseline, we all kind of understand each other. And I want us to all remember that we're still human beings. And we deserve to be heard. Every single one of us. And even if you did something really, really bad, you still deserve to be heard. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me on some of my thoughts, and that's fine also. But at a very baseline, I would like for you to at least understand where I'm coming from. Listen to what I'm saying, even if you don't fully get it. Even if the comprehension's not there, communication is. In your own due time, you will understand what I'm saying, and I hope that you don't, for the most part. In the meantime, just keep breathing. So I'll end it there. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and until I see you again, behave.